Aaron Toulouse, Cadred.org. I'm here, it's day 3 at IEM Cologne, and I've got with me a person whose career we have followed, his meteoric rise to fame. It's Kaelaris, who's doing the casting duties here. So when we last spoke at IEM, you were kind of the new fish in the big pond.
Yep.
Now you're the big fish in the big pond still. So how are you finding it all?
That's quite coincidental that you phrase it like that, because as soon as I came into the Intel Extreme Masters for this tournament, as soon as I saw that, I actually went up to my boss and said, so who are we actually getting for co-casters? And they're like, oh, just Day 9 and Tastosis. I'm like, oh, okay. Which for me is still, I'm still the little fish in the big pond, in my mind at least. And then, people will ask me, like, are you nervous about casting with Day 9 and Tastosis? And I'm like, you can't do that. You can't be nervous and do the job that I'm doing. If you do that, then you're not going to be yourself. You're not going to be able to portray yourself well and everything like that. So, this past year has been crazy, man. I don't know what to say.
I was going to say, like, in kind of the rise that you've had, and you've come from doing your own kind of casts to doing stuff like this, and now obviously alongside Day 9. What does it all kind of mean? I mean, to put it into perspective, because I knew, obviously, when we talked for the first time, you were so into it, and you so wanted to make it, and now that you're here, is it everything you expected?
Oh, well, I want to start out by saying that kind of mentality I don't think has changed in me whatsoever. I've been, in this past year, I've been able to work alongside Blizzard very closely, which for me is just, having played like from Warcraft 2 era onwards, is just such a privilege. And everyone at Blizzard is so ridiculously nice to me all the time. They can be very strict about things, but it's Blizzard, man. That's what they do. So, I've even completely forgot the rest of your question.
Well, it's just how has it lived up to expectations? Because when you were sat there doing your kind of bedroom casting, and you've got your 200, 300 views, and you got people saying you suck, and on Twitter or whatever, and now you're here and everyone loves you, and you're alongside Day 9. I mean, is it on the outside? It looks like it'd be great and a great story.
Yeah.
From your point of view, is it that great now that you've got there?
I'll say it is that great story without like trying to sound big-headed and stuff like that. It's just a really awesome atmosphere to work in. I wake up of a morning, I turn my TV on from my bed because I got a wireless keyboard, which is quite nice, just like leaning
Sweet.
back. Yeah. Put some streams on, then get ready for work, go to work, watch more streams, take a lot of notes. If anybody's seen my like note sheets from for this tournament specifically, I've made more notes for this tournament than any other one. Like a huge page for each player going into the group stages, who they beat in qualification. It's really, really important for me to be able to bring that little bit of a story to the cast, because again, for the Intel Extreme Masters, my role here is pretty much being the host, being the person who is bringing you that backstory, because we have such big personalities in an analytical sense, like Day 9 and Tastosis. So for me, it's really about bringing that. Obviously, I can put in my own little analytical spin as well, but I don't know, it's a great life, and it's all my enthusiasm for it is not going away anytime soon, because I feel so privileged to be in this position, and I'll continue to do it at 120%.
What about one-upsmanship between casters? Like, it's got to exist, because I've done casting as well, and I know when someone like maybe they miss a really obvious point, or you've got a great bit of analysis that you're going to bring to the table and you get it in first before them. Is there any kind of competition? Like, do you ever look to trump Day 9 when you're doing your casts or anything like that?
Well, I mean, it's difficult to trump the big man. He's I was actually a little bit apprehensive coming into the cast. If I'm being completely honest, Day 9 is a very big personality. He's got a very, very big following. So for me, that was, a little bit concerning. I was thinking maybe, he would be alpha to the point where I would be kind of muscled out. But I actually feel in the past 2 days that we've been casting together, it's come on just leaps and bounds from just even the first, just before. And I think we're working really, really well in synergy with one another. But I mean, aside from that, it's in terms of one-upsmanship, we had a little thing going yesterday, but like trying to get the crowd hyped up about each of the players as we were introducing them. But in terms of like an analytical point of view and stuff like that, I think we mesh really well. And from my perspective, I consider myself a polite person, and I want to, always have my co-cast. I never want to like make them look silly or anything like that, and I never want to one-up them. It's all about working as a team, looking out for one another, and bringing what you can to the cast.
Were you ever worried about the shoes you had to fill? Because, like, obviously you replaced the whole kind of bitter dam thing. Yeah. You were the, next choice, and they were revered almost in sort of casting terms. Yeah, and rightly so. They're, you've got that great synergy, like what you were just talking about. So when you come in, new kid on the block, I mean, was that like extra pressure for you? And if it was, how were you thinking about a specific, I might need to change my style? Was there any changes you made or anything like that to kind of win over that crowd?
I think maybe I still haven't won over that crowd. Again, there's the die-hard Rotterdam Mr. Bitter fans out there that, as soon as they left ESL, they're like, well, I'm not watching ESL anymore or anything like that. But I think that I don't have too bold a personality. I think, again, in comparison to these really big names, I haven't really been able to portray that, and I don't portray that at an instant. If somebody just watches one cast of me, I don't really think they get the full me. So that can be a little bit difficult in itself. But I didn't really change too much. It was just a case of refining what I had there. I feel my base was really, really good to work from. So, I don't know. It's, as you say, it's big shoes to fill. But it comes back to a point I made earlier. You can't go into this stuff nervous. You can't go into this stuff like really kind of jiggly and not really kind of giving it your all. If you give it your all, you're going to be able to succeed in whatever you do, I feel.
Well, I thought it was interesting. We were talking off camera, talking about how we deal with respective criticisms. Yeah. And you were saying about like how Dane, I was amazed that you could read your Twitter after a cast. I just think that's a really cool story. So, for the people out there, do fill us in.
Sure. Well, basically, after every single cast that I do, there's some casters out there that don't read Twitter, don't read Team Liquid, don't read Reddit between casts, because it can throw them off quite a lot. Admittedly, one or two comments can throw me off, but for the most part, I'm really kind of resilient to that. I had a long background in like doing gigs and stuff when I was younger, and we were bad. We had like bottles thrown at us and stuff like that, so we were terrible. So which isn't necessarily the most fair of criticism. Yeah. But you get used to like that kind of mentality, and just being able to kind of take it under the wing. Constructive criticism is great, but you just get people like, yeah, he has no personality, he sucks, he doesn't know anything about StarCraft 2. That doesn't really affect me in any way. Like, I know about StarCraft 2. I play at Masters level, random, and just because someone doesn't see me being analytical all the time, and on point all the time, it doesn't mean to say that I don't know. So, people have their opinions out there. For the most part, it's a vocal minority, and I know people enjoy it, so... And we've got really good feedback as well. You can't let the 20% or 10% or 5% spoil the 80, 90% of really, really good comments that people are genuinely willing to share with you and appreciate you. So you got to take that for more than it's worth.
Do you ever have an issue with what it's worth? Sorry, it's all good. Do you ever have an issue with because you're a caster, there's this kind of outlook that sometimes the casters are bigger than the players, especially in StarCraft 2, where I think the biggest names in StarCraft 2 a lot of the time are the people doing the commentary on the players. Is that ever weird? Do you find that strange?
To me, that's weird. In terms of when I was growing up, I would watch my dad watch a lot of football. I'm not into football myself. Sorry, guys, but. Being a Brit, you would expect it, right? But no. You will watch football commentators. They don't necessarily get as much, fandom and stardom as the players do. Of course, they do have followings, and they're the well-respected figures. But for me, it's really important that the player gets represented as the hero, and I think that translates really well with what we were doing, hyping up the Intel Extreme Masters event. Like, for example, we were making Reddit threads almost on a daily basis, where, in fact, I personally took charge of this because I really, really wanted to make this very, very adamant of a point of having the players that are qualified, and more specifically their social media connections, their Twitter feeds. Go follow these guys. Go and be able to actually, support these people, and also again, bringing that backstory to the players, telling you how they got to the tournament, telling how they've been able to beat fantastic players in the past through those qualification processes, to me is really important. So I don't really care how many fans I have. I just want to be able to do what I do, represent these players to the best of my ability. Do
you do a lot of kind of work in terms of bringing through that next generation of caster, and I think this is important because one of the things I've heard, I've interviewed people from like Twitch and Own TV and all this, and they all say what we need is more entertainers, which I agree. I think esports does need more entertainers. However, the people who are in positions like yourself, more entertainers equates to more competition, less opportunity, perhaps, you know, that dilution of content. So is it counterproductive for guys like you to bring through that next generation, or is that something you feel passionate about?
I'll be honest, I'll actually be brutally honest here.
Brutally?
Yeah, like when you know, like there's a lot of people that will ask me to cast with them, which, whilst I would like to, you can't say yes to one person and then no to everybody else. So I try and avoid as much of that as I can. I know but I'm busy myself. I can't just throw that out everywhere. Sounds so big-headed, but I don't mean it to be. But at the same time, like when, you know, people approach me, I do sort of feel sometimes this little kind of niggling feeling in the back of my mind, like, well, you know, like if I start helping this person out, maybe one day, you know, they're going to be like bigger than me. Maybe they're going to take a job or something like that. I mean, I think that's human. I think that is a human kind of mentality. But of course, it's great to work with my peers. And if I see someone who genuinely has that real spark that stands out, I'll focus on that person. Like, I think it's a rare thing to have. It's a rare thing to be able to, you know, stand in front of a camera and be really on point and really, really good and really, really entertaining in itself. I don't think I'm entertaining. I think I'm boring as crap. But hey, I got lucky, right? But other than that, yeah, if I saw someone who I thought really had that kind of mentality, I would really kind of latch onto them and give them a go.
I mean, we asked last time in the last interview we did about some tips for kind of breaking into that next level and whatnot. Now that you've got a bit further on, is there any kind of, you know, for maybe intermediate casters, people who were where you were like when we first interviewed you, how would they get to the next level? What's the life lesson you've learned?
I think when we first interviewed, I probably made a point about, you know, just it's hard to do it when you don't have like the full time to be able to commit to it, which is still true. But networking is just, I think, potentially even more important. Obviously, you need to have that skill set there, down and dusted, but networking, going to these events, shaking people's hands, and being polite and nice, you know, in essence, being the good guy. People always say good guys finish last or whatever, but being the good guy, I think it can get you far, really far in this business.
So just finally, you know, like I said, we've charted your career with interest over at Cadred. We've been watching you from afar. So where are we going to see you next? Is there anything you can give us the reveal on?
I'll be in Guangzhou, China for the Intel Extreme Masters, the second stop that we go to, which is going to be crazy because that's my first time in Asia. And then other things I can't announce as of yet.
That's cool.
Just some other stuff, you know, I mean, other stuff.
Good stuff, though.
Big stuff. Cool
Big stuff.
I'm so happy to be able to, you know, think about it, but not, well, I'm not so happy about not being able to say it, so sorry about that.
No, that's all right. It's cool. I thought I'd try and put you on the spot, but it didn't work. Not to worry. Maybe I need to learn something about interview technique. But look, it's great to talk to you again, James, honestly, and you're doing a great job casting. It seems all positive, the feedback that I've read anyway, so keep it going. It's great to see you on the big stage. To all the people out there at cadred.org, you'll be able to have more interviews like this one if you stay tuned to our website from our coverage from IEM Cologne. Whoa.
I want to say something. Cadred has been on fire lately. The coverage that they are doing is bloody fantastic. So
I didn't pay him.
Cadred. No,
I didn't pay him.
No, not at all. Like the coverage from Home Story Cup and all the other stuff you've been doing, really, really well done. So big props to you guys.
Thanks a lot, man. I mean, again, great praise. So there you go. That's an even bigger endorsement. Stay tuned to our website, IEM Cologne 2012, cadred.org, the place to be.